And about chicka wow wow. What's going on? And welcome to another exciting episode of the Gettin Salty Experience. It's the only podcast that brings the Firehouse Kitchen Table to you. As always, joined by my lifelong friend and buddy and chum and hard charger, Ruffy Rufrano.
What up?
We got producer Pete mixing on the wheels of steel. Come on, man. Excited for that.
Shalom.
We got a very special show tonight, bro. You think it's only New York guys who bring you this? Hard chargers all over this country, bro. We got us one hard charger from Newark, New Jersey. Newark. Yep.
But first,
but first, Pete, we're brought to you by what?
Guys, we're brought to you by GettinSaltyApparel.com, where you guys will find amazing t-shirts like this one that I wore in honor of Warren Fuchs tonight. That's right. My favorite one, the Saddle Up tee. Very nice. And the one that Kevin's wearing there that says, and you ask why, but because that's what men do. And the new hat Ruffy's wearing and all the good accessories that you need. It's the only place where you can get the coolest firefighter apparel and accessories. That's GettinSaltyApparel.com. Support us there if you guys want to support the show.
And tonight, Pete, what is the word of the day?
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, the words of the day are shitstorm.
Oh, man. Come on, man.
So without further ado, now I'll introduce this hard charger. Coming to us all the way from Newark, New Jersey. Newark. It's Captain Chief Pete Partridge. Yeah, brother, hard charger. Bring it in.
Good evening, my fellow Americans and all the shit that
We got a good one tonight. He's a hard charger. He's a salty guy. He's a rescue guy. He's a SOC guy. He had 30 years on the job? What was 30 years of service in the ghetto, putting out fires, crawling down hallways. You know why? Because that's what men do. Welcome to the show, Chief.
Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you very much.
Thanks, brother.
Not to be sitting here with us three idiots.
He ain't lying.
No, it is. But I mean, also with everybody that you've had on in the past, you're very exalted company here that I'm in. You know.
Yeah. Check. Chief Kleehouse said, "Nice to see you again." I didn't know you guys were buddies. Look at that. You know, people all over the place.
I've had the pleasure of hanging out with Chief Kleehouse a few times. I look forward to many more opportunities once all this COVID shit is over, and I've been in attendance at some of the get-togethers at Maggie Mays. You know.
That's just that. We gotta crash that party.
That's where we're gonna get him. That's where we're gonna throw him in. We're going to throw him in a knapsack or something and take him back.
I got the chloroform. We'll throw him in a knapsack. Pete's bringing a duct tape.
Hi, Jack. It's good to see you. Good to hear from you.
Yep. All right. So let's get right into it. Let's dive right into it. What made you want to be a fireman? Where'd you come from? What'd you do? Did you have family on? What brought you to it?
Yeah, basically it came from my father. He was in the volunteer department where I grew up in Glen Rock, New Jersey. He was actually the chaplain. Most people who know me are stunned when they find out my father was a sister, you know. But nevertheless, he was, and he used to take me to the firehouse when I was a little kid. So I grew up around it, you know. And,
what years are we talking about? The late 60s?
I might be the most senior man you've had on here yet.
Really?
You know, I mean, I went on the job in 1974, and he was bringing me around the firehouse in the 60s, you know, and I started there as a volunteer in 1972. It's 72. The Wayback Machine, you know, the Wayback Machine.
We were only 5 years old back then. How do you like them apples? Do you like apples?
Yeah.
I'm going to let you know a little secret right here. This is going to blow up in the chat. Many of you guys don't know. I am actually an ordained minister. Some of you guys don't know.
He is.
Actually, so am I. I married my best friend and his wife.
Come on.
Yeah. I am.
Well, you know, we used to do this thing. We used to go out, you know, like any gang of firemen after work. We'd go to some of the bars. But at one point, when I was in 7 truck, the captain of the engine used to tell people that the captain of an engine company is empowered to perform marriages. And we married a lot of people in Newark.
And how many projects? Yeah, all right, go ahead. You're good to go.
I don't know if you guys have done any marriage ceremonies yet or not, but keep that in mind.
I've done 2. I've married 2 different, 3 couples, actually. I'm sorry, 3 couples.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know it. Getting it done. All right. So you get on the job in 1974, which I'm going to say 90% of the guys in the chat weren't even born yet. 1974. And it says, did you start out in EMS? Is that how you started?
Yeah. What happened was that at one point, the fire department in Newark took over EMS. And this was a little bit before I got on the job. Excuse me. But by the time I came on the job, a lot of the guys who'd gone into it voluntarily thinking that they were going to get more money and be paramedics and all of that found out that wasn't going to happen. And they wanted to get out. So the easiest way to make that happen was to put probies in there, as they came on the job. So I got stuck in there for a little while, not too long. I was miserable. You can't order somebody to do that job. It's a certain mindset. You can't make somebody do that. But at one point I ran into the chief of department's aide, and I was crying to him. He said, "Well, get an appointment with the boss and ask him for a favor." And that's what I did. I went to see God, and he actually did me the favor and got me out and put me in 9 engines. So,
how long were you in EMS for?
It wasn't a year, I don't think, but it was horrible. I mean, it was really. Back then Newark was.
That was a mess. It was a mess.
You know what I mean? It was horrible.
How long would guys get stuck in EMS for? Were guys in there for years if they didn't know anybody or talk to somebody?
No, because it didn't last that long, really. At one point, not too long after I came on the job, several things happened at once. One being that the city ran into a financial crisis. And they were going to close companies and have layoffs, and they weren't getting federal money for the EMS, and I think that started to dry up too. And there was also an element of, this ain't working. Nobody wants to be here. They're not making it happen. It's falling apart. So, at one point it just kind of shut down. I don't think, it was a year and a half. Before it closed down, probably mid 75, something like that.
So 74. Let me see if I can paint the picture. You walk in, you got hair down to here, you got the big belt, you got the belt bottoms on, you got the big pork chop sideburns there going on, right? Maybe you got the hippie vest. I don't know, the flowered shirt.
I was more like a greaser, I had the.
Yeah. Grease lightning.
And he still has it. Look at him.
He still has it.
In your eyes a little bit there.
Yeah, the Huckapoo shirt. He had the Huckapoo shirt.
Hey, he pulled out his gun. Yeah, that's the T-Birds right there.
What a shit stirrer. Oh, this is going to be a good one.
Hey, Pete, I'm just going to let you know. No, I think there's like 6 people in America that carry that comb in their pocket right now.
And we got one. He puts it in a thing of Barbasol at night, right?
We are a plain breed,
All right, so you go to Engine Company 9. Were they a busy company back in the day?
Yeah, the guy that was the chief of department that I went to see at that time, Joe Redden, he did me a double favor because he got me out of EMS and I would have been happy to go anywhere. But 9 engine, at the time they were like number 2 on work, number 3 on runs, something like that. And it was a big first due company, single company, no truck. Mm-hmm. So, there was a lot of good stuff going on there. First due with a lot of good fires.
So you caught some jobs on the knob right away.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about what you had to do with the chief to get to 9 engine. I'm talking about when you got to.
In all the episodes in the past, I see that thing you guys do.
I didn't want to do it tonight, Chief.
I've never done it. I wasn't going to do it.
You know what? I got a last minute entry of a photo of you before you got on the job, so we could see the greaser hairdo. Here, hold on a sec. There you go. You're a good looking guy, man.
Pretty
Look
close,
at this guy.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Got the chops.
Hey, Rocco.
Hey, come on, Rocco.
All right, Rocco.
Yeah.
So you're in a single engine. So why do you go to? It looks like you go over to engine company number 7. What made you want to go over to?
Not quite. What happened was one time we were having a job action and I participated in it, and
you got lifted.
And, I mean, it was one of those things where not everybody stuck together, not everybody participated. So if you were one of the guys that did the job action thing, they could pick you off, and they knew how to fuck me. They put me back in EMS.
Really?
Yeah. But I wasn't there long because it was only a few months after that they shut it down, and then that's when I wound up in 7 Engine, which was another dynamite house.
How long were you in? Sorry, Coop. How long were you in 9 Engine for, Chief?
That was maybe like a year, something like that.
Oh, so it's happening fast. It's not like
things were breaking fast in those days.
I hear you.
Yeah, and I had a great time in 7 Engine, and at the time 3 Truck was there. They no longer exist, and the 1st Battalion. I would have stayed there, but then I got laid off out of there. So
holy mackerel.
Yeah.
So how do they ride anyway? Just so I can get familiar with it. I'm not familiar with Newark at all. How many guys riding on the engine?
Yeah, before the layoffs and the company closings, it wasn't too bad. When I came on the job, we had like 1,200 people uniformed, and so the companies were riding 1 and 4, and some of the busiest companies were even 1 and 5 at one point. But then after they started closing companies, laying guys off, and all of that, you started seeing companies riding 1 and 3, and even 1 and 2 if there was heavy vacations.
Really?
So they wouldn't hire overtime then to fill it. If you didn't have the manpower, they just rode without the guys.
Yeah, they hired overtime only when they really had to keep a company open.
Right.
But other than that, 1 and 2 was. It wasn't every day. It was common, but it wasn't. Probably 1 and 3 was the norm.
Chief, when you say 1 and 3, what are you saying? What is that?
Okay, that's an officer.
All right.
Yeah, that's an officer and 3 firefighters.
So, but you got including the chauffeur. So now you really got 2 guys in the back making a stretch, right?
Yeah. Well, the chauffeur earned his pay in those days because sometimes he had a back stretch to the hydrant. Sometimes he had to throw a there was a lot going on then. And we used to say we work miracles with 1 and 3. And it was really true.
It's true.
When you first got to Engine Company 9, were you guys still riding the back step or no?
Well, actually, when I came on the job in Newark, there was 10 of the engine companies were still 2-piece. It was a holdover from the old days. 9 Engine was one of those companies. So if we were 1 and 4, we'd be running 2 pieces, and nobody would be on the back step. The front piece was a squirt, had a crew cab. The back piece was a Mac R, so there was only the back step. But the squirt broke down, pretty regularly most of the time, and we probably spent more time riding the Mac than we did with the squirt. And then we'd be on the back step.
Nice.
We'd be on the back step, yeah.
I wonder how many guys in the chat, what percentage of the guys rode the back step? I know probably Fat Daddy Ray did, and I don't know if Fat Daddy Ray did. He probably did in the volleys, right?
Well, when I was in 7 Engine, that was another Mac R. We were on the back step there too. So I had a good amount of experience with that. Go over a pothole, you get your head slammed into the overhead and all that.
Of course, they didn't have bunker gear, right? They had the pull-up boots and the coat. That's it when you got on?
That's right. We had the 3/4 coat. We had the pull-up boots, good stuff. It was the old days. It was hardcore. And the bunker gear in Newark didn't come in till like the 90s. So.
Yeah, you guys had it before we had it, actually, right? Yeah.
Around
the same time?
Around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of places had it, you know, long before we did.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
When were the war years? Were they very similar to obviously the 70s? I know that, but when was your time that you felt like Newark was the busiest time?
They were a little bit behind your curve. It started in Newark. The riots were in '67. Well, I should say the first riots that were in '67, and that's kind of when everything went haywire. And it probably continued on, you know, into the earlier mid '90s. The busiest year we had was 1981. I think like you guys were like
77, a little bit, yeah, 77, 76, 77.
Yeah. So we were a little bit, you know, behind that curve, but in other respects, it was still pretty similar.
Right.
Well, Bobby Adanis had sent me some information he's from Rescue 3, obviously, FDNY.
Yeah.
And he had sent me some information on the Newark Fire Department. One thing that was, I mean, we all knew that Newark was busy, but here it says the Newark Fire Department was among the busiest in the nation during the war years, frequently ranking second behind New York City in all categories in Firehouse magazine surveys. Newark.
That is true.
Newark often had more fires in real numbers per year than many much larger, you know, busier cities, and was right at the top in the nation for fires per capita.
This is absolutely true. Yeah, at one point it was the fire death capital of the country.
Is that right?
You know,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, when I go down there now, you know, I still have some friends down there, even though most of them didn't even start till after I was already gone. But you know, a lot of guys down there I know, and they invite me down for dinner and stuff like that. And you know, it's hard for them to understand what it was like in those days, because it wouldn't be unusual for us to have, you know, 40 or 50 fatal fires a year, you know. And I think the busiest year ever was like 62 or something like that. And it was just a routine, you know, fact of life. And now they maybe get a couple a year, you know, a few.
Yeah, right.
You know, and you know, times were different then. You know, the city was different, the society was different. You know, everything was different, and this is how it was manifested in places like Newark. You know.
Chief, was it mostly vacant at that time when you first got on the job? Was it mostly vacants?
You know, we had an awful lot of vacants, but it was very heavily occupied.
Yeah.
Very heavily occupied. Yeah.
Private dwellings, right, in Newark, or is it, or are there
a little bit of everything? Like, yeah, we had everything really. We had
industrial.
Well, yeah, we had. In fact, one section of the city where everybody commonly goes to have, you know, Portuguese meals in the restaurant.
Oh yeah, the Ironbound.
Yeah. But that's heavily industrial down there. It's heavily residential, and
that's right.
Part of we call it down neck. So part of down neck is heavily residential, but part of it is, there are guys down there. That's the 5th Battalion, and they used to say we're sitting on a powder keg down here, you know. And yeah, because we had these horrendous hazmat fires down there all the time, you know.
Yep.
Blue smoke.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Where literally everybody came out red, head to toe.
Yeah. I'm out on that.
God, yeah. But yeah, we had everything. Newark had an awful lot of 3-story frames in those days. Probably most famous for that. 3-story frames, 2.5-story frames, a lot of Queen Anne's. We had a lot of brick too. We had 4- and 5-story brick tenements. We had
tenements there.
All right. We did, yeah. We had H types. You know, they
all right.
weren't as big as the big places in the Bronx, but no, we had them, and we had brownstones. We had a lot of brownstones.
Wow.
And
so you had everything.
We really did. I always thought of Newark as being kind of comparable to Brooklyn in construction. You know,
certain areas have, you know, brownstone, you know, 111 has brownstones block after block, and then You know, you go to Bushwick right up and it's just row frames, and then certain areas of the borough has different spots.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, it was a good time to work because, I got a lot of experience in a lot of different kinds of construction. And nowadays, it's not so much. Nowadays, you're more likely to get a 2.5-story or a 3-story frame or something. They get other stuff, but back then, you really had a good variety of work.
Yeah. So you make the move to the truck. Ladder Company 7 and 77.
Yeah, well, that's I came back from the layoff.
Right. And how long were you laid off for?
Almost a year, probably. Almost a year.
It is that long.
Well, I tell you, it was 1976. It was the bicentennial. It was a huge national party. I was, a single 20 whatever year. I hated being laid off and I missed the job. But if I had to be laid off,
that wasn't a bad year.
That was a non-stop party.
I think maybe that's where they got the term "summer of love." I don't know. Maybe
it was mostly peaceful, fiery, mostly peaceful.
Man.
Come on, man. But I hated to be laid off. And that naturally, it was heartbreaking. But I got back on the job, and when I got back on the job, I was assigned to Engine 1, which no longer exists, and I wanted to go to a truck at that point, and so I put in papers, and then I wound up in 7 truck.
Is that
yeah? Go ahead.
Busy truck? Is that right in like the heart of Newark? Is that a busy truck there, or?
No, it was up in. It was kind of like the southern end of North Newark. Battalion-wise, it was in the 3rd Battalion. And when I went there, it was, reasonably busy. It wasn't one of the most busy trucks, but it was reasonably busy. But the thing was, it was up and coming. The work was picking up a lot. And so, I went there at a good time. In this real busy trucks of the day, 5 truck, 9 truck, 11, you couldn't get in there. Nobody was ever leaving. And if they were leaving, there was a waiting list to get in.
Right.
So I was able to get in 7 truck. And by the time I left there almost 5 years later, they were doing.
They were hitting it.
Yeah, probably like number 2 on work or something like that.
Wow. How do they ride position-wise, Chief?
Well, it's not quite as organized as you guys are, primarily for the reason we don't have the staffing, But you would have basically an inside team and an outside team. We had a lot of tillers back in the day. There's none left now. But usually the chauffeur and the tiller would get the roof, if you were going to cut the roof. And, if you had 2 or 3 guys, that would be the inside team, generally speaking. And, there was a lot of flexibility because, as you know, there's so many positions to be covered, and a lot of times the boss would just have to choose his priorities. And, well, at this particular time, I need to get in and do a search faster than I need to.
Right.
Whatever. So.
Are you getting 2 and 2 on or 3 and 2? What were you getting on the box on a
4 and 2? 4 and 2.
All right.
Yeah, and same with a second alarm, another 4 and 2.
All right, so that's pretty good.
It was comparable to your assignments.
Yeah,
right.
And at the time we had enough companies to go up to a 5th alarm. I don't know if they could still do that now, but you got 4 and 2. You got the rescue. At one point they called them tack squads, but it was a squad. They had a bread truck though, not a pumper. But at one time we had a couple of squads.
Spawning in a bread truck.
Hey, Chief, they're asking if you ever worked at 11 truck with firefighter Jeff Burke, now Battalion Chief Chief Burke.
I did not work with him. He was kind of like, I'm not sure what year he started, but it was at the end of my time, probably. And I wasn't in 11 truck. I was in 7 truck. But the two, 7 and 11 run in together. But I know Jeff. He's in charge of training. He's a hell of a chief. Let me tell you. He's doing a hell of a job. And he'll come out in the field on overtime, or work a mutual or something, it's a pleasure to watch him run a fire or listen to him on the radio. He's one of the best. I got nothing but good things to say about Jeff.
Nice.
You know what I hear about him? I hear he's some shit stirrer.
That's what I heard.
So when you were, I guess it's the same story as the warriors here in New York. You get on a lot of fires and you learn a lot of things, right?
Yeah. I mean, the same thing happened in Newark as happened in many other places. You could get several jobs in a tour. You could get a couple of jobs on the same block simultaneously. I had one case where actually we were in one of these 4-story brick apartment houses, and I had the roof, and I'm making my cuts and everything like that. And periodically you're taking a look over the side to see what's going on. Make sure no victims have popped up in the windows or see what the fire's doing or anything like that. And this was a row going all the way up the block, 4-story bricks. And, the joint next door was on fire. We were separated with a firewall and everything, but there's fire blowing out 4 windows on the top floor of the place next door. So I got to call down to the chief. Hey, we need another. But stuff like that would happen. You'd knock down a fire and you'd be looking out the window taking a blow, and you'd see over on the next block another place was going.
I think guys nowadays would cut their pinky toe off to have a little bit of that, not even the full gamut.
It was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of that. I remember one night we had a fire, and we basically we were almost at the point of taking up. We're still doing a little overhaul, but we're getting ready to leave. And like about a block away, this is at night, very dark, you see a little flicker of a flame, and then the flame gets a little bigger, and then you see like this arc flying through the air. It was a Molotov cocktail.
Oh, nice.
I've never even heard of those these days. It's not even a thing anymore.
So he gas bombed the stairs.
Come on, man.
Brownstone. We actually ran down there. We didn't even bother with
they ran
for a box.
Nice.
We're running down there, but there was just a lot of mayhem.
I got to cut in here because there's a certain Mr. Hank Molay from the Boca del Vista gang who's chiming in here in the chat. And he says, now that I see Chief Partridge, I believe he used to come by and visit us in R1 on fact-finding missions.
Well,
not to be a shitster or anything.
I have met Hank, and I didn't think he would remember me. But, one of my closest friends, and unfortunately he was taken away from us way too soon, but Jack Theobald, and he was in Rescue 1. Hank was there, and I would frequently go over to Rescue 1 in those days. Hash was working there, and Bruce Newberry came over there, and Tommy Baker, a lot of guys, but I didn't think Hank would remember me, but I met him a few times over there with Jack. Yeah,
he's lucky he remembers what he had for breakfast, for Christ's sake.
It's got to be the hair, Chief. It's got to be the hair. As soon as he spotted the hair.
Yeah. It was all brown then, Anyway.
Yep. So what makes you all right? So you're in Ladder Company 1. You do some actually 7. You're in Ladder Company 7. And what makes you want to make the move to Rescue then?
I didn't want to go at first. That when I came on the job, that was kind of never on my radar. But the guy that was a captain there at the time, Tommy McGovern, before he went to Rescue, he was a captain in an 11 engine, and we used to run in with them a lot. So he saw me at fires, and he asked me if I wanted to come over. And initially I said no, because at the time they were doing too much first aid. The city EMS at that time was a disaster. Now they're top shelf, one of the best in the country. But at that time they were a disaster. So we would catch a lot of spillover, and having been in EMS and all of that, I was out on that. I wanted no part of it. But he kept after me, asked me a couple more times, and then I got to the point where I felt like I had been in the truck long enough to learn what I needed to know there, and they had kind of like been getting rid of that first aid stuff. So I went over there, and I never looked back. I loved it. It was just the rest of my life.
So so there's only one rescue in Newark, correct?
That's right. Yeah, this was a shot of I called them my band of merry men, but what a crew! Norm Bellina, Mike Wells, Steve LaPenta, Tommy Malillo, all heroes, all hard chargers. This picture, they had called us down to the academy to issue us brand new turnout gear for a pilot program, and we were like, once we leave here, the gear's never going to look like this again.
So you guys will take a picture.
Let's get a picture. Yeah. Actually, we got that gear from Gil Sullivan from Rescue 4. If any of you guys know him, but he was selling turnout gear as a sideline. But
oh, is that right? Nice.
Oh, fireman with a side job. What a shock.
Yeah. But, so we figured lime green truck, lime green stripe. It just looked like a good photo op.
So you guys had the rescue was a lime green. Oh yeah, it is.
Lime yellow. There, yeah. When I first came on the job, they were switching over. When I was in 9 engine, 7 engine, 7 truck, I had red rigs, but except for 9 Squirt was yellow. But then when I went to rescue, they're back to red now. And I'm jealous because I never got to have a red rescue truck. I went through 3 rescue trucks in my time there.
Really?
And they were yellow. Yeah. So
hey, Pete, pull that picture back up for a second.
Yeah, you gotta. Who's the liar in the picture? Because some Tim Kalachi in the chat is saying someone in that picture is a liar.
a liar?
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what it means either.
All right, good. I thought you might know.
Who's the guy at the bottom left-hand side, kneeling down? Who does he look
I know,
like?
he does remind me of somebody. I'm trying to think who he...
Come on, bro.
With the mustache?
Oh, that? Bottom right or bottom left?
Bottom left.
Him with the
Oh,
mustache?
Brennan? Pete Brennan?
Yeah, Pete Brennan, man.
He's a little heavier than Brennan.
He's a little heavier than Pete Brennan.
That's Steve LaPenta. Now, Steve LaPenta is the only guy left on the Newark Fire Department who worked in rescue when I did. Everybody else, yeah, because he was pretty young at the time. He's the only guy that's left. I'm out 16 years now. And he's a battalion chief now, and still working, still plugging away. But he's the only guy. Everybody else in that picture is retired at this point. So, but yeah, that was one hell of a crew. Let me tell you. I hope that their memories of working with me are as good as my memories are of working with them. Yeah. But I love those guys. I love them to death. I still talk to them, you know, and we had so many adventures together.
What kind of duties was the rescue in Newark at that time? You know, the extrication, I'm sure.
Yeah, you know, just like yours. Just like
same
yours.
As ours. Okay.
Yeah, just like yours.
Would they go on the 10? I don't know what a signal fire is for Newark. Would they go on the signal?
Yeah, over there was a signal 10 in Newark, but. Yeah, basically, we had a lot of discretion as the boss in the rescue to go wherever we wanted, whenever we wanted. And now, technically, we didn't have to respond till somebody called the working fire.
Right.
We were at the door on it.
You were rolling already when you heard something coming in.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we were out the door
and knows going. How to do it.
And he knows how to do it. Is right.
You want to know why? You want to know why, Chief?
Because that's what they do.
That's what men do.
That's what men do.
That's what men do, Chief. Just saying.
Thank you.
So, Chief, obviously, if you were there from 1981 to 2002, I'm sure you have some stories that you can relate to the boys. Some things that stick out in your mind. God,
I mean, how to pick, you know, how to pick. So much happened there over the years, but you know, I besides just saying we went through a hell of a lot of fires, one thing interesting that we used to do that was unusual for a rescue company was at the time the police ESU was not really doing high angle, so with a lot of these jumper up runs and stuff like that, we would go. And generally the way that would work out is we'd get there, we'd talk to the cops, find out what they needed, if they needed anything. And a lot of times they would have us rig everything up just in case. And a couple times we put harnesses on cops and lowered them over. Sometimes, if it was up on a bridge or, some kind of tower or something like that, we'd go, get the person. Most often they really weren't going to jump. They just wanted, attention and all of this. But one time we went to some projects, and there was a woman, I forget how tall, I think we were like in a 13 or 14 story building. And she's like on the 11th floor sitting in the window, and we go up on the roof and we lay everything out. And we always had a cop with us with a handy talkie to communicate with his people. And he was saying, like, we're not getting anywhere with this one, she's going to go. And so the plan was we were going to put a guy over the roof and try to surprise her and knock her back into the window. And that's basically how it went down. We, set up a couple anchor points. We put a harness on. Actually, the captain insisted on going because he felt like, dealing with an EDP and all of that. If anybody was going to, get knocked off and killed, he felt it should be him, not one of his men, And so we lowered him over and we kept him, like just above this woman. He was very quiet. She didn't see him coming. And the cops said, we're going to start battering in the door. When we do that, that's the signal. And so as soon as they started hitting the door, we dropped Tommy down, and he just like kicked her right into the window.
Nice.
It was beautiful. As he was coming down, he pushed himself off the wall with his legs, and he just swung right back in, and he kicked her right into the window.
That's crazy.
Fantastic, yeah. And he got the highest medal for that.
I was going to say, how to get a medal for that, right?
Yeah, he got the Medal of Honor, and then it actually happened a couple of years later. A guy, Frank Fonseca, did the same thing. One of the other tours in the rescue, exact same thing. And
no shit.
He got the medal too. I think Frank just retired as a captain, but he was another good fireman.
Imagine that one though. How'd you get that medal, sir? I kicked the woman.
Kicked the lady right in the teeth.
I had to do what I had to do. Bada boom.
Yeah, but sometimes we'd be up on those cranes down in the port, and man, that's high up. Let me tell you, the ones they load the containers on the ships with.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's high. Or we'd be up on top of the.
How'd you guys train on that? Did you get permission to train on those?
Oh yeah, we worked very closely with everybody down there. The Port Authority was very friendly with the fire department. The Port Authority ESU and the Newark Police ESU. We were drinking buddies. We'd go hang with we drilled together a lot with them, and sometimes they let us shoot their guns at the range. And
stuff. Cool.
Yeah, and they had one of those. I forget what you call it, but it's like a house set up where they practice takedowns and all of that.
Oh yeah. Kill house, baby.
Pete's getting a boner right now. Pete's
going to one.
I was just going to say, we're going to have to calm him down. I was going to be jibber-jabbering over there.
So, a lot of times, they put us in there. We'd be the hostages, or we'd be the bad guys or whatever, and they'd come in there with the flashbangs and the tear gas and all of that.
Nice. So if there was only one rescue chief, who would back you guys up? Are there other units that are trained? Or?
EMS also had a rescue. We didn't always get along with them, but they had a rescue truck too.
Who was that?
EMS.
Oh, EMS.
Yeah, EMS. Yeah, because at one point EMS was taken over by the state. And that's when they really, came of age. The Newark EMS, once they were taken over by the state university hospital system, they became top shelf, and they really are a model for the rest of the country. I mean, they're fantastic. We had our times with them and everything like that, but I'll tell you what, if you're hurt, you need help, you want them,
Mm.
you know. And then the police had ESU. As I said, they didn't do high angle at the time. Later on, they did. We started working with them on that. We would train together on that, and that's still how it is down there. You got the rescue in the fire department, you got EMS, you got the police ESU, and now too in the fire department we have the USAR unit, which is the rescue engine 10 ladder 5. And those guys are, I think they're watching tonight too. My guys in the rescue, we'll give them a shout out, Captain Rich Cooper and
nice
Brian Loud, Pat O'Hara, and Eddie Fulham, and they're a good bunch of guys. Walter,
that Eddie Fulham, he's some shit star. That Eddie Fulham.
Hey!
So, Chief, would you guys?
And a new guy too. I think Mike Markaric. I think he's working tonight for the first time with them. Too, so.
Oh, that
yeah.
Son of a bitch. Yeah, I know that. He's a.
Is he? But those are my guys. I go down there and see them periodically and have dinner with them. And that's a real good crew. Real good house. Yeah.
Good. Would you guys ever respond like to other cities that maybe didn't have a rescue close to Newark and Jersey, or?
Well, first of all, a lot of them did. Like we were surrounded by mostly paid departments, and probably 90% of them had a rescue. Elizabeth was on one of our borders, Jersey City. They all had rescues as well. Yeah. And the way it's set up now, everybody works together. It's a regional USAR team concept, and everybody works together. But at the time, they really didn't like us to go out of the city, and there was a lot of work in some of the surrounding towns like Irvington and East Orange. And allegedly, I cannot confirm or deny this, there were sometimes rumors of seeing the Newark rescue truck at somebody's fire.
Allegedly, you might have heard it.
Might have happened. Maybe you saw it. No picture exists. There's no picture.
Maybe you saw a lime green rescue flying down the turnpike. I don't know.
I have no knowledge of any such operation, nor would I be permitted to discuss any such operation.
I love it.
But so anyway, one night, it got to be a little more than allegedly, because we were at a fire in Irvington, and they had mutual aid from Newark up there, and the director, that would be a commissioner in your terms, but the director heard me on the radio at the fire. So I get headquarters to rescue one, call a dispatcher, forthwith. Okay. So we had a cell phone in the truck. I call him. He goes, "Cos, I've heard you on the air. Get your fucking ass back to the city."
Oh my word!
It worked out. It was busy as hell that night, and we were getting our ass kicked. We wound up with 6 jobs that night, and
wow, nice.
The one we snaked up in Irvington was like 3 buildings going, But we got back to the firehouse, and we literally just backed in. I had my coat off, but I still have my pants on, and a box comes in, and it's only like, a mile and a half from the firehouse. And like, we're all still saddled up. We jump on the rig, we go, and my guys make a fantastic grab. It was really good. It was one of my favorite stories, about teamwork accomplishing a fire rescue. And it was it's like a 3-story brick, and the first and second floor are roaring. And one of our things was we always went for the back. We didn't get caught in the traffic jams on the stairs and all of that. We go up the back stairs of the back fire escape or whatever.
Nice.
And so they were like, there's a kid in there, and we were running up the back stairs, and my guys, they were unbelievable. The fire was already just about to the 3rd floor, coming up the stairwell, and 2 two of my guys were you had to be crawling at that point. The heat, smoke. Two of my guys were on the floor pulling doors closed with their hooks. The fire's rolling into the hallway, and Tommy Malillo, who we talked about before, he made the dash and got the kid. And just as we were leaving, 9 Engine was making the stairs, and so they started, hitting the fire, and we took the kid back out, the way we came in down the rear. Unfortunately, he did not ultimately live, but it was a super grab. And
that's a ballsy move, man.
Yep.
Yeah. And Tommy got a very high award for that. They gave us all something. They were nice enough, to give even me something, and all I was doing was trying to, keep up with those guys, right?
Mm.
But,
very humble.
Let me tell you, the best rescues are like that. They're teamwork. You know what I mean? And that was certainly the case. That was my guys at their best. And when certain occasions arose when I needed a kamikaze mission, they would do it. They'd pull it off. And
that's a real deal.
Yeah, fantastic.
Who's that guy?
Well, that's when I was a fireman. That's my captain, Tommy McGovern, when I was a fireman in rescue. And
you have a helmet on your head there? You can't even see it. It's crispy there, fella.
That's me when I was, still young and dumb and all of that. And,
young, dumb, and full of cum. Yep.
That's right. And Tommy had blonde hair when I started working for him, and by the time I left, it was snow white.
and you gave him gray hair.
Well, I was asking you before in the pre-show, Chief, that you guys don't have a lieutenant's rank, correct?
That's right, yeah.
So if you weren't working in the rescue as the captain that night, who was in charge?
Well, first of all, the Newark Fire Department set up differently than you guys. There's 4 tours, so each tour, has a captain. And initially, when I was in my earlier years on the job, they would have acting out a rank. And if the boss was off and they didn't have enough overtime to bring somebody
the senior
in,
guy or somebody, right?
Yeah, but eventually we prevailed in court. Unfortunately, in Newark over the years, we lost guys in fires like everybody else, kind of periodically. And we were actually able to make a case that a very significant percentage of our line of duty deaths occurred under acting officers. And prevailing in that case brought about a new policy whereby there was always a boss working. They'd have to bring one in on overtime, or if they had a bunch of recent guys promoted, they were kind of like in a roving pool covering the spots and so on. But you always had to have a boss there. Unfortunately, like most things in the job, that was written in blood. But
yeah.
So how many captains were actually assigned to the rescue then? You had 4 of them assigned?
So you had one on each tour, yeah.
You had 4 captains.
Who's in charge overall then?
Well, there was no set policy for that. Usually it would be either a senior captain or the guy who, sometimes it was just like, oh, he's in charge, like everybody.
Yeah, I got you.
Whatever.
Enough said.
Would you work with the same guys most of the time then? Like you had your oh, that's
well,
good.
There was a lot of mutuals and overtime back and forth and all of that. But basically, you had your tour of guys, and those were the guys that you were always with.
That's good then. You guys get to work together a lot. You can almost predict what each other are going to do. Like.
Oh yeah. It was a good system in that sense, but I never thought it was a good idea to not have lieutenants, because you do kind of wind up with 4 different fire departments, and 4 different companies and so on. So I personally I would like to see lieutenants, 1 captain,
right?
Yeah.
So Chief, I saw here again with this Bobby Adana sent me this. Your career highlights. You were cited 13 times in your career.
Well, yeah.
Whoa.
They were nice enough to,
He told me you were going to give me a piece of humble pie, but I'm going to ask you.
No, I mean, seriously, I was involved in some things with it's the luck of the draw. You got to be with, and a lot of it was team stuff, like we were talking about
Of
before.
course,
And
I understand that.
One of the more interesting jobs we had in the rescue was a bulldozer flipped over into a pit with a guy pinned in a bulldozer, and it was a bad situation because it was soft soil. The thing was leaking diesel into the pit. He's pinned. Bulldozers are built like battleships. And, he had sustained severe injuries. And so we're actually in the pit. It's full of diesel oil. We got to, first of all, shore up the pit, because it's like a trench rescue.
Correct.
And you got the soft earth and everything. And we had to shore up the bulldozer, and we're trying to disentangle the guy, and we got medics in there putting IVs in him, and they were seriously thinking they were going to have to amputate his leg. It was one of these things kind of like you see on TV. I'll give you guys 5 more minutes, type of thing. But we did get the guy out, and we got him with his both legs on, and
nice.
That was one of the things.
I was going to ask you that. What was your, for yourself, did you ever make a grab or, receive a medal for saving somebody?
Well, this is an interesting story too. Well, first of all, this is probably unique, but I got my first write-up and my last write-up in the same building.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it was a brownstone. It's no longer there, but it was a brownstone on Mount Pleasant Avenue. But the first one, I was actually in 7 truck. But I was working a mutual for a guy in 9 engine. And as I said before, there's no truck there, single engine. And we got a good job in this brownstone. And there's a woman in the 3rd floor window and the smoke and the heat and everything. And talking about riding short, the captain and the other guy had to start stretching the line in, and me and the chauffeur threw a ground ladder. And then he goes back to getting water for the guys in the line,
So you're the guy.
So, I did go up and, I pulled her out and got her down. And then in New Jersey, the state FMBA, there's 2 unions, the FMBA, Firemen's Mutual Benevolent Association, and there's the IAFF. We've been in every union. We were even in the Teamsters one time. But at that time, we were in the FMBA, and they would also give awards out. So the city sent that one in. And the FMBA came back and, they said, well, you just missed qualifying for the number 3 medal for that one. And the reason you didn't get it was because after you got her on the ground, you didn't go back up and in the window and do a search. And I said, this is fucking Newark. By the time I got her on the ground,
there's steam coming out of the window. It's already out, kid. What are you talking about? That's it.
But
I like that.
Yeah, but then, strangely enough, years later, now I'm in the rescue, and we're on that street. By that time, it was mostly vacant, burned out. And we're coming back from a run, and there was a nice abandoned car there. We stopped to cut it up, drill on it. And some woman comes up to me, and she goes, I know you. And I said, oh, yeah, you know me? And she goes, you saved my friend Shirley out of a fire. Well, it was like, 8 years before that.
Wow.
And there's a fire going on. I'm wearing turnout gear, everything like that. But she knew me.
It's the hair.
Wow.
It's the hair.
Oh, you beat me to it, Ruffy. It's the hair.
Yeah. So, but I always thought that was cool. And I always tell guys, don't be too quick to run everybody down, because there's a lot of people out there, they know what you do and they appreciate it and they do remember, Yeah. And then the last time, by that time, the place was a vacant building. There was a squatter in there, and he was caught, and we got him out. But so I got my first and my last write-up in the same building. That's probably unique.
That is pretty wild. There.
Yeah.
And there was what, eight years between the two?
Something like that. Yeah, I don't remember exactly. Something
Wow.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go here because I
Oh,
see Hank.
Oh, boy.
I see Hank writing a few little things up in there. So
He's being, you know what he's being? He's being a shit stirrer in there.
Chief, don't take those shit off of nobody. You know what I
There
mean?
it is. So here's the story. This is what we got going on here. Let me just check my phone to see if Hashtag can call me, but text me.
Oh,
back.
look at Mole. He's getting cocky. The Del
get all
Boca Vista
froggy?
gang. Get great story, Pete.
No, he's saying that's a great story.
All right. I thought he was busting balls. Excuse me.
So here it is. So here's the story. So we have a little controversy, and controversy sells. So this is how it goes.
He ain't lying.
Hashtag was on the show, and I've talked to Hank many times, and they all say that Rescue 1 was the first rescue in the country, possibly the world. So I started talking to the chief, and he says, hold on. Hold on a minute.
Wait a minute.
Hold on a minute. He said that the Newark rescue, which was actually put together in 1913, although they were called Searchlight 1 and Chemical 1, correct? Am I right?
Yeah, well,
Tell me if I'm wrong.
And just to set the record straight, Hank and all everybody, no, I didn't want to bring this.
All right, so I did.
We've discovered who the real shit stirrer is.
All right, I'm the shit stirrer. So
I was watching the night the question came up, and I know Hash a long time, and I called him up after the show. I was like, bro, that wasn't one of my guys. Because I honestly believe the companies should be, everybody should be friends, working together, hanging out together.
We can have a little friendly rivalry.
And
Ruckus.
We can have a little friendly ruckus.
Kissing match. You know what I mean? But the question came up. So here's the facts as I know them. In 1913, Newark established a searchlight unit, and it only had a couple guys on it, but it was also a chemical unit in Newark. Back in the days, some of these apparatus had like a huge soda acid tank, on the thing, and that was the chemical unit. At any rate, so 1913, they established a searchlight unit. At some point within a couple of years after that, they combined the chemical unit and the searchlight unit into one company, and they start giving them the Draeger helmets, the cutting torches, and stuff like that. But it wasn't until 1917 that they put out an order saying, henceforth, this is Rescue Company 1. And so I checked this out. We have a battalion chief, Joe Spurley. He's in the 1st Battalion in Newark, who's heavily into the history stuff. So you guys in Rescue 1, if you want to come across the river and kick ass, look for the 1st Battalion. But anyway, that's a good house. I got a lot of good friends there. My buddy Paul Lieber works there, and his Captain Kelton and Stevie Wolf works there. Good guys. I'll give them a shout out. In fact, I'll take this opportunity to publicly announce for the first time that Paul Lieber is my illegitimate son.
You found a full mop of hair on his head like that? Then I'll buy it.
He likes to shave his head so that nobody knows we're related.
Chief.
But anyway, so I was talking to Joe Spurley about this, and he's got orders with that stuff on it, so that's instantly I guess provable. It's on the record. And I asked him, at one point, like, well, when did they start giving him the tools and all of that kind of stuff? And he remembers that there were newspaper articles in the Newark Star Ledger about this, but he can't go there right now and check the archives because of the COVID and all of that shit. But at any rate, those are the facts as I know them. And
so I have it written down. I'm just going to give you a little chronological order here. So 1913 is when the Searchlight won and Chemical won. And they were given some tools, so they were used as a rescue, but they weren't deemed a rescue.
They were not officially Rescue One, you know.
1917. Right, but in 1915, Rescue One went into service in Manhattan as Rescue One.
Yeah. So the way I always looked at it was like, even if you take this to the Supreme Court, nobody's ever going to. It's always going to be
apples and oranges. I got you.
I think I know the determining factor, though.
What's that?
Right? Whether or not you guys did the work as a rescue, was the concept of a rescue unit established in 1913 or not?
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know.
That's the determining factor.
And my position is, over the years, I had a lot of very close friends in Rescue One in Manhattan. And, you know, I honestly got better things to do than fight with these guys. You know,
listen to me. Since when do facts matter to firefighters? Just throw some shit out there. I don't
care. Holy shit.
You know?
That's freaking great.
You know, telephone, telegraph, telephone, throw any shit out there. I don't care. We'll believe it.
Why would you let the truth get in the way of a good story?
Yeah.
Anyway,
exactly.
That's how it is, and I'm not looking to piss anybody off. Honestly, I'm just presenting.
I like it, Chief. I like it.
Yep.
And we did get shifted off the question of rescue jobs, you know, too, which I had a couple other things I want.
Yeah, do it. Shoot it. I'm waiting.
I mean, I got to tell you this one because it's a classic. We get called over to a convent one time for a stuck elevator. And
this could be interesting.
The convent had probably been there for like 150 years. And I never saw an elevator like this before or since. And what had happened was this elevator, instead of the normal thing we're used to, at the top of the shaft, there was a bar going across with a couple pulleys on it, and each pulley had a wire rope that came down and was attached to the elevator car. And in the shaft, there was a couple of rails, but they weren't really guide rails like we have now with the guide shoes and all of that. So the car had a lot of play in the shaft. One of these wire ropes broke, and the car goes like this in the shaft. There's like 4 nuns in there, you know? And we get there and we open the shaft and we look in. And I swear to God, just like a Roadrunner cartoon, the other cable was slowly unraveling.
Oh, no way.
Oh, my God.
We're like, oh, Jesus, you know, yeah. You know, there really wasn't a hell of a lot there in the way of, you know, what do we latch on to? What we wound up doing was we wound up getting a whole bunch of ropes, and we fastened them on to the top of the car, and we're wrapping them over the shaft. We had to put a guy up at the top of the shaft, and you know we're trying to
basically as fast as possible
ropes to hold the weight of the car before this other rope breaks, and we pulled it off, you know, and we had some big C clamps on the rig, and you know we put them on those rails.
Right, to hold it up. Yeah.
To hold the thing. We're doing everything we can think of to immobilize this car, you know? And so anyway, we get that done, and then we notice there's no trap door into the car. So how are we going to get these? Then that are in a blind shaft. We can't open the door. We can't get in any other way, and there's no trap door in the top of the elevator. So now we got to cut, you know?
Cut a hole.
And we're telling them, like, don't panic. This is going to be very, very loud, you know. And we got the air chiseling on. So we finally make a big enough hole that we can get these poor nuns out. And we find out that one of them just had a hip replacement.
Oh.
Like, and we're like, how fucking bad can this
Now you got to put her in a Stokes or some shit?
Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean, so
she goes last.
We wound up dropping a 10-foot folder ladder down into the car. And we'd get the other 3 out, which was even a job because they were a little bit,
sure.
headward, like.
Sorry, sister.
Then we got to rig up this poor woman and get her up out of the car. It was horrendous. We felt so bad for them, but it was the damnedest thing I've ever seen. It was just like a 1 in a million. Yeah, 1 in a million shot.
There's something about nuns and the word shaft that doesn't sit well with me.
Oh God!
Come on.
Hey, moving on.
Come on, man.
Come on.
All right, I went there. Okay, I went there.
Hold on. I got to ask you. So Newark is a really interesting place, especially like that Ironbound district we were talking about. A lot of good. That it's really interesting because there's a lot of great masons from Portugal who came down there and built up Newark. Some sick architecture and brickwork, churches.
That's right.
But in speaking of sick architecture in Newark, check this out, everybody. Can you describe what the hell this is to everybody in the audience who's listening right now? Because Jesus Christ, that's insane.
It's a landmark in Newark.
It is an ark. Up on
wait, like when you say ark, people don't get it. So like Noah's Ark, right?
Noah's Ark, yeah. It's an ark.
God.
Noah's Ark. So the person standing up on the forepeak there is actually a woman, and her name was Kia Tawana, and she was very unique, to put it mildly.
Let me just show a picture.
When you see a picture of her, the word woman might not come to mind. All right. So
Here she is. Whoever this person is that identifies as a woman.
Now, tough paper for sure, man.
Can you describe the ruckus, sir?
The hairpiece, yeah. That was an afro wig that she wore because she felt she would blend into the neighborhood that way and nobody would bother her.
Here's another fantastic image of her. Ooh.
This is Kia. Yeah, this is normal Kia without the wig. Uh-huh. And she actually started out. There was a whole area of vacant lots there, and she started out building herself a home. And what she did was this is her home behind the ark here. Uh-huh. What she did was she dragged several flatbed trailers over there, and everything you see in this picture is made out of vacant buildings.
Holy!
She would travel around the neighborhoods with shopping carts and collect lumber.
And she did all the work herself.
All the work by herself. She was a very talented woman. Wow. And she was self-educated. She spent hours in the library looking all of this stuff up. Wow.
I got to tell I want to describe the scene. So imagine a vacant lot. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple or iTunes or wherever fine audio podcasts are found, there's this. I mean, it's literally Noah's freaking Ark made out of wood in the middle of a tenement.
It's got to be 30 feet high, right? That's got to be 30 feet high.
At least.
So she researched, how to build a ship, and for her home, she built these different levels of rooms and this and that, and all of that was built on trailers because she felt that if she ever had to bug out, she could just take it.
Yeah, oh my God.
And so then she got the idea that the world was going to shit and she needed to build an ark so that she could escape. And this was actually up in the center of the city. And I asked her one day, we were very friendly with her, and I asked her one day, how are you going to get this thing down to the water? And she had considered all kinds of things, heavy lift helicopters, but they were too expensive and this and that. So her final solution was going to be that she was just going to collect a bunch of telephone poles and roll the thing down to the water, by leapfrogging poles as she went. And
she had a plan.
She had a plan, yeah.
We would call her a prepper nowadays, right, Kev?
Yeah. She had the thing all framed out and everything like that, and she had just begun to, to plank it over, and then she ran into trouble because the vacant lots that she was on were sold for redevelopment, and they wanted her out of there.
Pete, would you please stop doing that?
I'm zooming in on her.
nightmares tonight.
That looks like
I gotta tell you,
like Khrushchev, right? A Russian.
of all my homeless weirdo experiences,
Wow.
you know, I grew up obviously in Queens in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Yeah, this is way cooler. I mean, she built a freaking ark, bro.
Very cool.
Wow.
And it turned into a thing. She was like you could see there's all chain link fence around it and everything. She was kind of like a survivalist. And there was a vacant jail nearby, and the doors of her home were actually jail cell doors.
Oh,
nice.
cool.
Out of jail. Yeah.
Wow.
How the hell did she get that there?
Is that thing still there?
She took everything on shopping cart. How did she get it out? The woman was a wonder. She could do anything with tools, you know? And it turned into a thing because when they tried to evict her from the property, she knew just what to do. And she went public. And it actually attracted the attention of, art lovers and historians, and people were trying to get this ark declared as some kind of
Landmark.
Yeah. And, there was fundraising going on and everything like that. And in the art world, it was a huge tragedy. She finally lost. There was a standoff with the cops, everything,
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
What did they do with it? Is it still there? They take it
She
down?
had to take it apart. She had to take it apart. She
Really?
took it apart piece by piece.
No.
Oh,
shit,
that
what a shame.
must have killed her, all that work.
It did. And then, she was done with Newark after that. And the last time I ever saw her was in the Barnes & Noble in Lower Manhattan. And I happened to be in there one day near Gramercy Park. And I saw her, and I was like, Kia. And she remembered me. And, we were catching up. She was living in Brooklyn. I asked her if she was going to build any more arcs, and no, and all of that. But, we had a nice little reunion there in the Barnes & Noble. And that was the last I ever saw of her. She's long since died now, apparently. But, she was a very tough woman. Her hands were like leather mitts, and very
Working outside all the time.
She was a tough customer, let me tell you. Tough.
Because that's what women do.
Yeah.
I don't know about many women that
I don't know many men that could do that either, by the way.
Yeah,
That's true.
Firemen, we were off. All the companies would stop by there and say hello, and she was very friendly with us, and she loved us, and the whole thing was a shame when she had to leave.
It's too bad, man.
But, she did her thing. She did her thing,
I got to give her credit. Two things. One, I mean, not only building the freaking ark, but she was creative. And two, she had an American flag at the top of that thing.
Did have
So
an
God
American
bless.
flag on it.
Yeah.
I did see that.
She's
God
very
bless.
patriotic, very opinionated, very colorful in her language. And
Yeah, you know why this is bullshit? Because they got something like that down in Ohio or something, right? Where you come down, you pay to see it, the Ark thing, right?
Do they?
Yeah, the Noah's Ark that they have built down there, bro. You pay to go
Really?
see the state. Yeah, you never heard
In
of that?
Ohio, that's
I
landlocked.
don't know if it's Ohio or no. It's sitting in the field. It's a giant ark. It looks like Noah's. It's one of you assholes in you guys know it. In the
yeah,
shot.
just another Newark tale, And the funny thing, we would see her, like pushing the shopping carts around, loaded up with lumber and all kinds of shit. There was no shortage of vacant buildings, and that's where she got all her materials from.
That's
Here we go. I'm looking up.
All right, so we're gonna
wait. Look up
It's in Kentucky. It's in Kentucky, Kev.
Kentucky, show it. Somebody's making millions of dollars with this thing, and this poor woman.
Holy smokes! Hold on. Is this in Kentucky?
Somebody said Tennessee too.
No, they said
maybe
Kentucky,
they have.
Kentucky.
Maybe
Save the ark.
Oh yeah, Kentucky. Here it is. Hold on. Here it is.
Come on.
Come on, man.
I like tea is better, probably. I know already.
Yeah, I know you're gonna like it better. Stand by. Yeah, it just takes a second to get it going. Boom! Look at that thing.
Oh well, that's a little bit bigger. That's what she
A
said.
little bit, but you know what, dude? She had the concept first, right?
That was obviously built by a whole crew of skilled artisans.
Yeah, it wasn't built by no homeless chick with a wig, for Christ's sake.
And baseball mitts for hands. I mean, come on.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Man.
Yeah, that
That's
was.
pretty funny.
It's a. I mean, listen. That's the thing I love about. Look,
That ain't going anywhere.
one day I will not live in this place anymore, and I can't wait for that day. But to be honest with you, I will always remember the crazies, and that's what you kind of take with you. And this is
She
one of
was
the best
an innovator,
stories.
bro. She was ahead of her time.
I'll
Oh,
say.
yeah. Well, we had a lot of crazy. I mean, every good firehouse has a crazy hanging around there.
Oh
you know?
yeah. Oh yeah.
But,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Squad 288 had Kev.
Oh, you hurt my feelings.
Ooh,
I'm
it's just-
teasing.
All right, so let's. Where are we? Now he gets.
We talked about the
became a
rescue
chief.
jobs last time we were talking, but
Give me another rescue job. Come on, give me another one.
we had a kid got his leg almost ripped off by a boulder one time. That was a problem. I mean, they were excavating a lot. And when I say boulder, I mean this thing was probably like 6 or 8 feet across, And this kid was like about 8 years old. As they were digging these boulders out of the pit, they were stacking them up. And the kids were playing on the boulders, and one of them slipped. And this kid's leg was, I mean, it was just hanging on by a thread, which reminds me of another story I'll get to in a minute. But at any rate, we get there now. How do you move a boulder? What do you grab onto it with? It's like if there's no purchase for the jaws, you can't. You can try to move it a little with the airbags, but you really have no control. It's a wacky job. But we figured it out. We put slings around it, and we got it done. But the point is, this kid was a trooper. He didn't whimper once.
Really?
He was a tough.
I'd be crying like a baby.
Oh,
reminds me of your son, Kev. He's one of the toughest kids I've ever seen.
The bone was 7. He was really just hanging on by a couple of tendons.
Wow.
But he didn't, he didn't whimper at all. He's a tough little trooper. I don't know if they ever got the leg reattached. I doubt it. It looked to me like
Jesus.
fully mangled up.
Maybe you showed him a picture of that broad and he went to shock. I don't know.
But that reminded me, we got to run to an MVA one time. 9 engine was first due, and we go in there, and by the time we got there, it turned out there was no pin, but they called for us to continue in. So we get there, we get off the rig, and we're walking up, and the chauffeur of 9 engine, they got one of the victims from the MVA like sitting on the side step of the engine with a lot of bandages on him and everything. And the chauffeur of 9 engine goes, "Jesus Christ, wait till you see this guy's fucking arm. It's only right away." He's like, "Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Hey, what are you doing?"
This guy thinks he's doing okay. He thinks he's about to get, wait till you see this guy."
Holy
good Lord.
You gotta watch what you say, But,
hell yeah.
Especially when you're life saving. But look at these hard charges right here, man. Check you guys out.
Yeah.
That's you on the stairs coming down?
Where are you?
Second from the top. Second from
the top.
Yeah.
What is that? Queen Anne? What is that?
Yeah, that was a Queen Anne. We had, oh, Jesus, wait till you hear this story. But yeah, that was a Queen Anne. We had a lot of Queen Annes in Newark. And a lot of them were, eventually broken down into SROs, and we had a super fire in one night, and that thing was going really good. And it was just, a ton of fire everywhere. And they wound up pulling us out for a few minutes. They wanted to knock it down from the outside. And then we went back in, and I was a fireman at the time. And we get up to the second floor, and I'm with the boss, and he tells me, "Man, there's a lot of water in here. Let's see if we could get some of this water out, So I go looking for a bathroom. I'm going to take out the toilet.
Smash the toilet, yeah.
Right? So I go in the bathroom. There's still a lot of fire in there, so there's a lot of smoke. Can't really see, And so I find the toilet, and I got, the flathead axe. I whack it, but instead of that nice, sharp, clean crack, I hear this dull thump.
Oh.
Oh no! Oh no!
And there was a shit explosion from head to toe. And even through the mask, I could instantly smell it.
Oh my God!
I'm like, engine.
I thought you were going to say somebody was sitting on the toilet.
Oh my God! So the whole house was after that. I told everybody, don't go in the shit house. Look for. They were all of them. They were clogged up right to the rim.
Holy mackerel!
Like the sewer pipes, the soil pipes must have been jammed up like for years.
Right.
Oh man, it was horrible.
Like an artery clogged up.
So they tell you that old thing, try before you pry for forcible entry. I crush before you crush.
You couldn't see. What are you going to do? Yeah. I thought you were going to say when you heard a thud that there was somebody sitting on the toilet.
I had the engine, like I took a bath right there. I'm like, hey.
Hit before you shit.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So one time I was doing a search and I crawl into a bathroom and I'm down on the floor. I see a pair of boots with the pants folded down and I hear.
Keep going. This room's clear. The room's clear. Keep going.
Dude, I swear to God. You remember Herbie from Squad 288? Herbie?
Yeah, of course.
Herbie was built like a brick shit house. He was a vet. He was in Iraq multiple times. We go to a job one day in a funeral parlor. And we're doing a search on the top floor, and he says, dude, stand by the door for a minute. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I got to take a shit. I'm like, you going to take a shit now? Now? Time you take a shit, bro?
Hey, listen, when you got to go, you know how it is. You can't see straight. You got to go, man.
I guess so, bro.
That's pretty funny. The guy was on air.
Chief, I got to tell you the truth.
I mean, we're doing a pretty good job there.
Yeah, right. Hey, listen, like you said, when you got to go, man.
Must have been important,
Yeah. Oh,
before I got on the air with you, I was I was in the car and I was looking at the pictures briefly that Ruffy sent to me. That you sent them, and I'm on the phone with my mother, and I pull up the picture of the chick with the fucking wig on. So who you got on tonight? I'm like, he's a hard charger from Newark. He's a funny looking dude, man.
He's got a funny looking. He's got some type of Russian hat on here. I don't know what the hell. That's class. Come on, Pete, please take that off. I don't want to look at it anymore.
Come on. She looks like she didn't have any teeth. I don't know if that's a win or a loss.
All right, let's get back to the timeline.
That was her stated purpose. I want to blend in with the neighborhood so nobody bothers me.
Yeah. I thought that was you before I met you.
I did not know who that was, honestly. That was
I swear to God, I remember who you got on the show, and I'm like, I don't know, but he's really weird looking, man. He's
oh my God. Yeah.
Somebody wants to know about how your house burnt. Just the chief when his house burned down.
Oh yeah. My house burned down in 2014, and I lost everything basically. The guys, the local Hawthorne Fire Department, they did a good job. They actually stopped the fire in its tracks, but unfortunately, it was already out every fucking window when they did it.
I mean, what was the cause? Do you know what the cause
ended
up being?
Yes, I do. It was electrical. Down on the first floor, I had a lamp on a table, and the wire was running behind. It was like a love seat, but it was a convertible, So they have like the steel frame that.
Yeah.
Over time, that wire had gotten under the steel frame of the convertible, just getting it up and down from
yeah.
Thing and finally it just rubbed through the insulation and shorted out, and that was it. But I was sleeping at the time.
Holy shit!
But yeah, I got to tell you, I doubt if any civilian would have got out of there because the smoke woke me up. Usually they say the smoke is what gets you. But maybe because I was on the job and everything. The smoke is what woke me up. And I remember waking up and smelling the smoke and thinking the neighbor must have his wood stove.
Right. You're not thinking over it so clearly, right?
Then I wake up a little more. And I'm like, it's a little hazy in here, And then suddenly it's like, shit, it's in the house, And due to the configuration in the bedroom at that time, I didn't have a door, but I had like a double heavy curtain over the doorway. And I pushed that curtain aside. Holy shit, it was lights out down to the floor. I remember what I thought, like, holy shit, this fucking place is already gone.
Really?
And it was hot, and I, faster than you can tell the story. I'm like, there's not even time to try to get out a window or anything. I just gotta make a dash.
I mean, where the front door is, right? Where the front door is. You're going right for the door.
And so I go down the stairs. The fire started in the living room.
Oh,
and
boy.
as I'm going down the stairs, it's already across the seal and it's coming for the stairs. And it's almost at the stairs. I got burned going past it. Oh, my hair got burned off and, second-degree burns and everything like that.
Oh, shit.
And it was just, it was rolling across the ceiling at that point. And I got out on the front porch. I did grab my phone. I had the presence of mind. But other than that, I'm in my skivvies. It's snowing out.
Oh, my God.
February. And as I'm talking to the cops on the phone, the front windows just blew out, like halfway across the lawn.
Yeah.
I went, oh, fuck.
Oh,
I mean, you couldn't even grab anything, right? I mean, you couldn't. It's gone.
And it's just like, I knew enough to know, like, you just lost everything, bro. There was no, telling yourself maybe it'll be okay. It's just like, I knew.
Yeah.
And when the chief of the fire department pulled up, he told me, the fire was blowing out the front door over your head. I never even knew that, But they did a good job. The guys got there. And when I say they stopped it in its tracks, they really did. They stopped it in its tracks, but it was just too late.
Too late. It's too far gone.
Everything was gone. And, it was a horrible day. I lost everything. And I had a lot of cool collections. I'm into ships and nautical stuff. I had like a whole museum, I had.
Really? That sucks.
Of everything I lost, the thing that upsets me the most to this day was my helmets. If I could have any one thing back, I would want my helmets back.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And
I mean,
is that the house you're in now? Are you back in that house?
Yeah, it's the same footprint, but it's a new house.
Right.
From the first floor, subflooring up, it's a new house. But it's not the same footprint,
It's got to be some kind of feeling, though, coming out of that, right? Like, because you're a firefighter. This is not only your profession, it's your skill set. It's everything you are. So, I mean, like, but it got you. You know what I mean? In a way, not only did you get burnt, but it got you. So I mean, how did that
out? I mean, I knew how I had to get out.
How did it start?
Electrical. I was saying before, it was a cord that got shorted out. But I mean, I knew I had to get down the stairs, and I tried to go down the stairs as flat as I could. But at that point where the ceiling intersects with the stairs, and the fire was just like right there, so I was no getting away from getting burned. And looking at it later, like the time frame from when I walked out of the front door and when the front windows blew out and everything, I never would have got out. If I'd like tried to go through a window or some shit like that.
Out in the back, yeah.
I would have never had time to do that. I figure I had, from the time I woke up to the time the front windows blew out, was probably like 30 seconds.
Wow.
And
it's funny. I think about that too sometimes. I was actually talking to somebody about this, like, keeping the door closed, right? But the fact that you smell the smoke when you wake up, obviously nothing's that clear to you, right away. Like you said, you had questions in your head, like right away you start thinking about, it's the people next door or whatever the heck it is.
Right.
Until you get your head clear, like you said, you watch these houses, these demonstrations, it's 2-3 minutes and it's fully involved.
Yeah. I mean,
3 minutes. Really?
I'm a light sleeper, so I have white noise. I never heard the smoke alarms. Nothing. I woke up only because I smelled the smoke. And
Hey, Chief.
my life, arguably, but I'll tell you what got me through it. And I don't want to sound cliched or anything like that. Only thing got me through that fire was the brothers, the brotherhood. We throw that word around all the time, brotherhood, but you don't know until the whole weight of the brotherhood is focused on you. When you're the recipient of it, then you understand what that word means. Because literally, I'm out in the street watching my house burn, and in my skivvies in the snow, and the phone rings, and the guys from Newark knew about the job. I don't know how somebody called is your house on fire? Yeah, well, right away, help's coming, And in the following days, I was never, ever alone. There was always guys coming up, the stories go on and on. One guy came, he was a cop in the next town, detective, and he heard about it, and he came over and he says to me, you're about my size. I'm gonna shoot home and get you some clothes. He lived next town away from me, so he drives home, gets the clothes. He's on the way back. He spots a guy's wanted for murder. Now the chase is on. He's calling for. There's this chase going on through all of Bergen County. Finally they get this guy. They get him locked up and everything, and he comes right back to the fire to give me the clothes.
Oh my gosh!
You know what I mean? And but that's how it was. There was always guys coming up from Newark. The day after the fire, one of the guys I worked with when I was a fireman, George Anderson, was sitting out. I went to stay with my sister in the next town, and when I came over the next morning, George was there. He saved my life one time. We were in a 3-story frame, and we had a good job. We had done what we were going to do on the 3rd floor, and we were on our way. We were going to go down to the street and take a blow. And I stepped onto the 3rd floor landing. The entire staircase collapsed, bango, right into the basement. No warning. There's still fire in the basement. I go for it. He grabs me one-handed, grabs the back of my collar, grabs me one-handed. I'm hanging in the air, and he manages to pull me up high enough so I could get my elbows back on the floor, and then between the two of us, my way back up,
Wow.
Anyway, so he's there first thing the next morning. Guys are coming, and I mean, the brotherhood is tremendous. Bobby Athanas, I was out to lunch with him like 2 days after, and he says to me, I just got to watch the time I'm doing to work tonight. There's Bobby there. They used to call Giuliani America's mayor. There's America's senior man, right there. America's senior man. But, he says, I got to watch the time I'm doing to work. I said, well, I can't help you with that. I lost my watch in the fire. Takes off his watch, lays it on the table in front of me. Now you got to watch.
Wow.
No shit.
Yeah, it was that kind of.
Hey, Chief, he was telling me about your ring, something about your ring.
Yeah, well, yeah. Here it is, actually. Where are we? Yeah. Everything was lost, but, another friend of mine, another cop, they were trying to get me to go to the hospital because I was burned and I wouldn't go. So it took them a couple hours to get me to go. And the only reason I ever went was because this one guy said, I'll take care of your house. I will not leave until it's boarded up and secured and padlocked and all of that. So, any rate, long story short, he goes inside now and he's poking around. And he tells me later, he says, look, under the rubble, there could be some stuff. In my opinion, I was kicking around. I said, listen, I'm too heartbroken. I don't give a shit. Anyway, so the word gets over to the Hawthorne Fire Department, right? They brought 2 companies over. It was like the next night or the night after. They brought 2 companies over at night, and they're shoveling all the shit, going through everything. two things they found: my rescue company ring and my battalion chief badge.
Wow.
And that's all I have from that fire. And it was because the guys from Hawthorne, came over and did that for me. But everybody was great, not just guys from Newark, all the local volunteers, guys from Patterson. I live right next door to Patterson. They were support. The cops from Hawthorne, Glen Rock, the guys from the city, unbelievable. Mickey Giordano from Rescue 3 was a big help because he had his own fire, and then unfortunately lost his wife too. And he called me up. He spent some time on the phone. He wasn't living around here at that time anymore, but he was a big help too. But Bobby's my brother from another mother. Bobby Athanas, and really, when he just took that watch off, now you gotta watch. I had tears.
Sure. Now you gotta watch. Anything I got is yours. That's it.
Yeah, and guys, like I said, never let me be alone. They were here. They were on the phone. It was absolutely incredible. They had a fundraiser. They had a benefit hockey game for me. It was just like, it was just unbelievable. And I always say to guys, I hope you never have to find out the way I did what that word brotherhood means. But believe me, it's out there. And for everybody that's on the job now, it's your duty to keep that alive. It's your duty to keep that going at all costs because you don't know what you got there,
Yeah. You know what, Chief? It was so funny because when everybody had gone, it was just me and you sitting here before the pre-show, and you were on the phone with your friend there trying to get the facts from Rescue 1.
Yeah.
I was listening to you, and a couple of things you said, even the thing that you said before, a couple of things that you said, I realized that even, we have a lot of guys from FDNY on, but all across this country and all across the world, this is what I wrote down that you called him. I don't know if you could see it.
I can't see it.
Wait a minute.
Brother.
You called him brother. And I said to myself, no matter where you go, all over the world, it's this brotherhood. It's the same words that we use. It's the same thing that it's really a unique thing, man. Like I'm listening to him talk and I'm like, that's how I talk, the brotherhood. That's how we talk all over the world, all over this country, It's just really weird that you just brought that up now because I was going to say it.
Yeah. I'll tell you a story. I was married like 20 lifetimes ago. And my wife at the time, could get lost going from here to the grocery store and back. And one day for her job, she had to go into Queens for some kind of training. And coming back from Queens, she gets lost. She winds up in the Bronx. And the car overheats.
Holy mackerel.
I'm in bed, dying. I got the flu, 103 temperature. I'm really like laid out, And I get this hysterical phone call. Something's wrong with the car. I got off the highway. I'm in a gas station. I don't know where I am and this and that. I said, all right, first thing, what's wrong with the car? She goes, the guy says the water pump's gone and I can't drive it until it's fixed. I said, where are you? So she's asking the guy, I'm on Webster Avenue near 179th Street in the Bronx.
Oh my God.
Right? Yeah, this is like 1979,
Oh my God.
So I says, all right, never mind this guy with the water pump. Just tell him to put water in the radiator. I want to get you out of the Bronx. Get back up on the Cross Bronx, and at least if you break down up there, we're good. Get out of where you are. So she puts water in, the guy puts water in the radiator, she leaves. She doesn't even make it back to Jersey. The car's overheating again. So she pulls off onto like 9 North, and I'm getting another hysterical phone call. Nobody will help me. Even the cops are driving past me looking. She goes, finally, a tow truck just stopped. I said, all right, go talk to the guy. Tell him don't go anywhere. You need him, right? So she comes back to the phone. Okay, he's going to help me. What should I do? I said, all right, tell him to take you to the firehouse on 181st Street near Amsterdam. Rescue 3 was there at the time, and I knew guys from there. I said, tell him to take you to the firehouse. Meanwhile, I'm going to get myself in there and pick you up. So the guy tows it to the firehouse. Meanwhile, I'm driving into the city. I get to the firehouse. The fucking rig is out on the street. Her car's in the bay.
They're working on the car.
No shit.
They're working on the car. This guy, Pete Ferranti, who's a good mechanic. They're working on a car. She's in the back. They're feeding her dinner, giving her coffee. She's laughing. She's happy. The guy in the tow truck won't take a credit card. She had no money. They fucking paid for the tow truck.
Oh,
they
my
went
God.
out. Needed a thermostat. They went out. They bought the thermostat. They
Come on.
I had tears in my eyes. You know what I mean? Yeah, she was baking them cakes and all kinds of shit like that.
I've done, you know what, Chief? I've done that a few times. Guys called the firehouse and from somewhere on the job and said, you know, my daughter or my wife's on the LIE. You know, they're stuck on it. Can you get down? You know, can you give them a hand? And we would go down there immediately, and we would block traffic for them, and we'd wait. You know, see what the story was. If one of the guys would get in the car, we would push it off or do, you know, whatever we had to do. We would constantly do that all the time.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You know, this guy Ed Siri was working that day, and he was a friend of mine. He was the one I got on the phone. He said, "We got it. Don't worry about nothing. Just get here."
Yeah, take your time. Breathe. Right? We got it.
Yeah. So you know, and like I've always made it a point.
Absolutely.
When you're involved in anything, if it's a brother, man, you're getting tough.
Yeah, you got to do it. Absolutely.
And guys out there, I'll say it again. It's your duty to keep this going. You know, it's your society out there. It's your brotherhood. You gotta understand what we got here, and you gotta keep it going.
Yeah.
It's not just a job.
Well, I'll tell you this, Chief. You know, since we started this, and Kevin can attest to this, Pete, even himself too. We get a lot of emails and a lot of phone calls a lot of stuff. You know, guys are all excited about it, and they talk about it, and it is about the brotherhood. And you know, if you thought that it wasn't there somewhat, it's there. You know what I mean? You might not see it all the time, but it's there. And guys are especially the new guys.
You see it on the show with guys in the chat, guys emailing us that it almost it keeps it going. You know, even guys that are retired, it keeps the brotherhood going for the guys that are retired.
The retired guys a lot.
And speaking of which, you guys, you know, on Monday we had Glenn from Kamer Tool on, right? And I was going to wait to do this in the shout outs, but I think there's a good moment to do it. So when we got off the air, he told us the story of one of his fellow firefighters, Heidi Vaughn, who had died of breast cancer. And, you know, so like first of all, he sold a bunch of tools, which was really cool. Everyone jumped in on that, which was really nice. But second of all, he's going to he made, when she died, a fuck cancer Kamer tool with it lasered on the tool with a pink handle. And, you know, that was to honor this firefighter. And now he's going to redo that again because there's all this interest coming back around. So, you know, go support that as well because, you know, I think all the money goes. I
think he donated all that money.
He donated all the money. He donated all the money to breast cancer awareness, and since it's October, it's coming back around. And that's what I think I love the most about this show. Because like Blue says, he keeps forwarding me these emails that he gets, and then I get personal emails as well. And I'm touched by that too, because I can't believe how everyone cares so much. And, you know, if someone had died, everyone wants to make sure, hey, by the way, mention this crazy fire that happened that day. 5 of the brothers died that day, you know? So a lot of respect to this community, for real.
I get a lot of guys talk. I'm lucky because I still have a lot of people I know on the job, and you know, even though most of them weren't even there when I was there, they have become my friends. You know, they invite me down for dinner. They come out, hang out with me sometimes, and they will say, you know, boy, we wish it was like that. And well, it still is, and it can be.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know, it's a little harder now, maybe because you work 24s now, and you know, we used to work. Well, you guys had the 9 and 15, we had the 10 and 14, but it was the same schedule. And, you know, you would go out for, you know, a few pops after the school and this and that, or maybe you'd go out for breakfast, and that stuff's a little harder to do now, but you have to go out of your way. And, you know, there are several different groups of guys that we just get together regularly and we make dinner plans, and we make sure that, at least once a month we all go out, we hang together. Some of us are retired, some of us are young guys, still on the job, and it's all doable. These younger guys, they got the heart, you know what I mean? I hear a lot of shit about the millennials and everything, and I tell you what, I don't find it that way. I really don't. These guys are into the job, they want to do it the right way, and God bless them. And they asked me what it was like in the old days, and they like to hear the fire stories and all of that. How many fires? What was the most you ever went to in one night? And that kind of stuff. And but at the end of the day, they're no different than us. They're no different than
But
us.
there's a lot of young guys that watch this show, and I know they pick up a lot of the different tips when it comes to firefighting and stuff. But this is one of the big things that they could take back to the firehouse and teach the other guys, man, the brotherhood and what it's like to take care of each other. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well, speaking of which, guys,
It's about that time.
It's about that time for the old school tip of the day.
All right, Chief, what do you got for us?
Can I say a couple different things?
Absolutely. You
Of
can do whatever
course.
you like. It's your time.
Anything as you want.
One thing that was always kind of a thing with me is you get into a job and all you hear is like the smoke alarms going off all over the place. Guys, disable them. Even if you got to knock them off the ceiling with a hook and destroy them, shut that noise off, because you need to be able to hear if somebody's calling for help. God forbid it's one of the brothers and the pass alarms going off or something. It was one thing that used to drive me nuts was being in the middle of a good job and all you can hear is those alarms. So get rid of that noise, however you got to do it, but get rid of that noise. You don't need that. And same thing, shut those pass alarms off out in the street, because I have personal knowledge of a case where a guy was jammed up in a building, pass alarm was going off. Nobody heard it because out on the street, there were 50 other pass alarms going off. So you need to take care of that. Also, situational awareness. Don't get tunnel vision. Don't get locked in on just what you're doing or what your company's doing. Listen to that radio. Watch the conditions. Always know where that fire is and always know where it could be going next. It's not just your company you're worried about. Where are the other companies? What are they doing? Do they have your back if something goes south? Situational awareness, very, very important. Another thing is now in the fire service culture, they talk a lot about, don't be afraid to sound a Mayday, and they teach you this in the academies and all of that. And I'm all for Maydays. But what I feel is being lost is the art of getting yourself out of trouble too. And we can't have a class on that right now, but I want everybody to keep in mind, there's a lot you can do to get yourself out of trouble too. Don't just bang that Mayday and then, hang around helpless hoping somebody's going to get to you. Try to figure out how you can get yourself out of a jam too. And the final thing I want to say, which is a little more involved, is that I do some leadership training, here and there. And often some of these local fire departments around here, when they get a crop of new officers, they'll call me in to give them kind of like an introductory training to being a fire officer. And the one thing that bothers me is that a lot of guys take the job either for the wrong reason, whether you're career or volunteer, they either take it for the wrong reason or they don't really understand what responsibility they're taking onto their shoulders. And, it's a job that literally puts you in a position of life and death decisions that affect not only the civilians that you're supposed to be protecting, but your own brothers and sisters. So I want to leave you with a thought, all firefighters, with very few exceptions, all firefighters who have ever died in the line of duty have one thing in common. They were all under the supervision of a fire officer when they died. So when you take that job, you got to very, very, very much understand what you're signing on for. Always keep studying, always keep increasing your knowledge, always keep in mind that you're the safety officer, not the guy out on the street wearing the cute little yellow vest, okay? He's out there. You're in the building with your company. You're directly supervising your troops. And at the end of the day, you're the safety officer, and it's up to you to take care of them. That's all I got.
Wow, that might win the best old school tip of the day.
I tell you right now.
Bam.
First of all, I have to say right off the bat with the fire alarm, I cannot tell you how many of those things I've smacked off the ceiling because I could not concentrate even to hear myself think. That's a great tip.
How about pass alarms when you
yeah, well, that's it. I mean, then it just kept going more and more and more. Everyone after that was great. Yeah. That's perfect.
Excellent.
Unbelievable.
Chief, you got any hair tips you want to throw out there while you're on there?
Any gel tips? Any gel?
Courtesy of the lovely and talented Cena at the Balula Salon in Glen Rock.
How you doing? A little of this? What you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
Chief, thank you very much. Great show. Great tips. Everything. Great job. Appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.
It was a real honor and a pleasure for me. And let me tell you, with a lot of the people that you've had on this show, I really feel like I don't deserve to be in their company. But I thank you for the chance to be on. And everybody stay safe and stay well.
Awesome. Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Rookie, speaking of which, were you trying to make inroads into getting a Thanos on the show? Were you making?
Well, it's because the Chief and Bob are very close friends. I've actually been I've been working a little bit. Yeah, I feel like we're a little more friendly. He's not usually you give him one of these once in a while, but now I seem like I'm talking to him a little bit. So maybe I could
if
wiggle in there.
If Chief
America's senior man.
Well, we're gonna work on it. We're gonna, we'll see how it's gonna work out. I think I can get him. It might take a little bit of time.
Excellent. All right. Before we move on, I know we're saving this show. I want to show you fellas something because we're having a new contest coming up, and Roofy's gonna lay out. We're not.
Oh, we are.
Oh, okay. Roofy's gonna lay out the details, and you tell me that I'm not the goat of engraving. I am the guru of engraving because I'm gonna present this. Look at this cigar box.
Wow.
Hold on a minute.
He made that. He made that. I have to say, he did.
Nice. Ooh,
not the box, but he engraved it. He did.
We are going.
Only that had been available when Bill Clinton was president.
Oh, come on, man.
Come on,
man.
So we're gonna have a contest. Roofy's gonna lay out all the.
I'll do it this weekend. This weekend, I'll do it.
All right, we'll have details for you on Monday. It comes with a personalized partner source cigar cutter for you cigar aficionados. It's gonna have something to do with getting people to subscribe to the channel. Roofy will lay it out. And that's all I got to say about that. What do you got, Roofy?
I got two shout outs. I got, first I wanted to shout out the another roof rope rescue in 23 truck, 34 truck. Nice, I believe it's Squad 41. Guys did another great job. I think they had two people, 23 truck. Did I mention 23? But those guys just keep making us look good, right? I mean, they're doing a great job. And I also wanted to congratulate Ralphie Longo. He got the spot as a lieutenant in Squad 288. So he's a new lieutenant there. The big gorilla. And
big hairy mess.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you got? How about the lighters? The lighters are still coming. They're delayed. I don't know what the hell's going on. I think they said they're coming October 10th. October 10th.
2 more weeks.
She said 2 more weeks. October 10th.
All right, Pete, take us out, kid.
That's all I got.
If you all are listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever fine audio podcasts are found, you should also be tuning in to watch and get the full experience of the show at youtube.com/Gettin Salty Experience. And while you're here, do us a favor, take your filthy little digit, press the like, subscribe, and share button.
You know it, Chief. You know it.
Come on, Chief. Give us the finger. There you go. There you go. And if you guys do that, the more you like, subscribe, and share. No, really, guys, it really does help us spread the word of the show and grow the show. We're about to embark on our very first road show. If for some reason some of you guys think that the show that we did out there in that firehouse was our first road show, it was not. Okay,
No, that was a mess.
No. The road show has its own personality. You just wait and see what I got planned for this one. It's going to be fantastic. And I think we have a place that we have in mind.
We did pick. We did pick, but we're not announcing it yet. We have to talk.
No. And then also, guys, head on over to Instagram where you can find us at Salty Dog Inc. Mr. Refrano there curates the freaking coolest fire photos. I mean, the guy busts his ass. He's up at 5 a.m. texting me, "Did you see this? Did you see that?" Yes, I did, Louis.
He ain't lying. He ain't lying.
It's true. It's true. And you get all the last minute info for the show. Last but not least, guys, head on over to gettinsaltyapparel.com if you want to support the show. We have t-shirts, we have hats, we have cigar cutters and cigar boxes and all the good stuff that you guys love and need. And if you want to email us a question, please do, because we love our Q&A podcast, and apparently so do you guys. Email us at gettinsaltyexperience@gmail.com. And that is all.
And listen, anybody who can recommend a fine, hard charging, salty guy like this guy from another place other than the FDNY, we want to see it. We want to bring in guys from all over the country, because like we were saying before, we're all the same. No matter where we are, we're all the same, bro. I am you and you are me. And blah, 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 blah. All right. What else?
That's it. Take us out.
Chief. Thanks, Chief. Really appreciate it.
Chief, it was a pleasure. It really was.
Yep. All right,
Absolutely.
Yep. Stay low and go.
All right. We'll see you at the